Okay, so what if um, everything we thought we knew about hunger, about weight, was actually missing a really crucial piece?
Right, like the whole picture wasn't quite there.
Exactly. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a perspective that, well, it suggests hunger isn't always about food. Sometimes it's about hidden questions.
Hidden questions. Okay.
Yeah, and how certain new medications are bringing these questions to the surface in some pretty startling ways.
Interesting. And where are we getting this from?
Our insights today are drawn from a few key sources discussing Dan Hollis's work, things like a meeting with my friend Dan Hollis on semaglutide, and a couple of pieces specifically on emotional hunger and weight loss from his perspective.
Ah, Dan Hollis. Okay, got it.
So our mission really is to explore what happens when that physical feeling of hunger quiets down.
Hmm.
And a different kind of hunger, one we maybe don't even acknowledge, starts to make itself known.
It feels like for so long, we've kind of misinterpreted the root causes behind food and weight issues, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
The usual focus is always calories or carbs, maybe discipline.
Right, willpower?
Willpower, exactly. But that often misses something deeper, something more fundamental that's actually going on.
And these sources, they offer a different lens.
A really unique lens, I think. It helps move beyond just the surface stuff to what's really happening underneath.
Okay, so let's start with hunger itself. We all know that physical feeling, right?
Mm.
The stomach rumbling, that sort of hollow sensation.
Classic signs, yeah.
But Dan Hollis, he kind of flips this. He says, and I'm quoting here, emotional hunger sounds like a craving, but it's actually a question, a need asking to be seen.
Wow. Okay, that's a big shift.
It is, isn't it? Reframes the whole thing. It suggests this isn't just about losing weight. It's about what he calls decoding emotional amnesia.
Decoding emotional amnesia, that phrase really lands because it makes you think, how often do we misunderstand what our bodies or maybe our minds are really asking for?
All the time, probably.
Probably. And Hollis points out these common ways we mistake things for hunger, like being tired, maybe lonely.
Or even just like totally overstimulated by everything.
Exactly. Confusing that feeling with a need for food. So what people often reach for in the kitchen, it's not really about nutrition, is it?
Yeah.
It's maybe a desire for connection or comfort or maybe just some clarity.
And Hollis doesn't judge this.
Not at all. He doesn't shame the pattern. He just names it. And he reframes emotional hunger not as some kind of weakness, but as wisdom misdirected. Like there's a deep knowing there. It's just been pointed the wrong way.
Wisdom misdirected. I like that. So it's not just a rumbling stomach. It could be a yearning heart or maybe just a really dull Tuesday afternoon.
Could be any of those, yeah. And that idea of decoding emotional amnesia you mentioned.
Yeah.
He's talking about uncovering those really deep-seated emotional needs, the ones we might have forgotten about or pushed down for years, maybe using food to cope.
Okay, so understanding that kind of hunger, it brings up a really interesting question about these new medications like semaglutide.
Right, Ozempic, Wegovy, people know the brand name.
Yeah, they start out for type 2 diabetes, right? Mimicking a gut hormone.
That's right, a GLP-1 receptor agonist. Helps regulate blood sugar, appetite. But then there's this pretty undeniable weight loss effect.
Unexpected, but undeniable.
Very. And a key insight Dan Hollis offers here is that semaglutide doesn't solve the emotional hunger piece.
Okay, so it's not a magic bullet for that.
No. And it doesn't just suppress appetite in a simple way or, melt fat. What it does, and Dan puts this really powerfully, is it gives you a moment where food stops talking.
Food stops talking.
Yeah, he says, and for some people, that's the first honest moment they've had in 20 years, that quietness. That's the silence he talks about.
And he thinks his silence gives you truth.
He believes it gives you truth, which, raises a huge question for anyone in that situation. If food was your emotional support system, your scaffolding, what happens when it suddenly gets pulled out from under you?
The sources say you'll feel exposed.
Exposed, yeah. Makes sense.
So it's absolutely not a fix then. It's more like an unprecedented window,
Yeah.
a biological pause.
Exactly. A pause button, almost.
And here's maybe the most striking part from Dan's perspective. He claims most people who use these drugs and then maybe regain weight,
Yeah.
they relapse not into hunger, but into confusion.
Confusion, not hunger.
Not hunger.
Huh.
He thinks people don't fail because the drugs stop working. They fail because, and this is his quote, no one taught them what to do with the quiet.
Wow. Okay, just pause on that. No one taught them what to do with the quiet. That's kind of chilling,
It
actually.
is, isn't it?
It points to a huge gap in how these things are maybe being used or supported.
So what does Hollis suggest? Does he leave people stranded in that quiet?
No, no, he doesn't. That's what's key about his approach. He talks about building scaffolding in the space semaglutide opens.
Scaffolding, like emotional support structures?
Exactly, a framework.
Yeah.
And it includes really crucial things like focusing on identity,
Yeah.
rituals, even the language people use to talk about themselves and their experience.
Okay.
And get this, he actually teaches people to sit in shame long enough to learn something from it.
Sit in shame. That sounds hard, but different.
Very different from just trying to avoid discomfort, right? It's about turning that pain, that difficult feeling, into a pathway for actually understanding something deeper.
So it's really important to be clear here. Dan's method isn't anti-medication at all.
No, not in the slightest.
Yeah.
He actually sees the strength of semaglutide because it gives you something invaluable.
Which is?
Time. Just time. Time to reflect, time to maybe reset some patterns, time to potentially rewire things.
Ah, okay. So the medication creates the opportunity.
Precisely. As Dan puts it, semaglutide isn't the solution to emotional eating, it's the silence that lets you find one.
The silence that lets you find one. I like that.
It means you get a chance to separate, what he calls true hunger from signal confusion.
Signal confusion.
Yeah.
Like mistaking loneliness for needing a snack.
Exactly. And crucially, starting to see those cravings not as enemies you have to constantly battle, but maybe more like messengers, carrying vital information about what you really need on a deeper level.
Which connects back to that bigger idea you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, connecting it all up, Dan's real insight seems to be that this emotional hunger stuff often comes from what he terms identity disconnection.
Identity disconnection. What does that mean practically?
It means like when people lose track of who they really are at their core, when their sense of self gets a bit blurry or maybe lost along the way,
Right.
food can kind of step in as a substitute, trying to fill a void that, well, it really has nothing to do with physical nourishment.
It's a profound link, isn't it? Our relationship with food reflecting our relationship with ourselves.
Deeply connected.
Which leads us to another really powerful idea from Dan Hollis. He says, you don't hold on to weight loss with discipline. You hold on to it with alignment.
Alignment, not discipline. That's a big statement.
It really is. Because it shifts the focus completely away from just willpower and rules. He says it's about rewriting the story people were too full to finish.
Wow. Rewriting the story. So it's not just about the number on the scale.
Not at all. It suggests something much more profound is needed for sustainable change. So it's not about forcing yourself with discipline. What does alignment actually look like? How does that work?
Well, it means lining up your actions with your deepest values, with your true sense of self. So, for example, if you say you value self-care,
Okay.
does automatically reaching for comfort food really align with genuine self-care? Or is there maybe a deeper need, like needing rest or connection, or maybe expressing creativity that actual self-care could address more effectively?
I see. So it's about checking in, asking if the action matches the underlying value or need.
Exactly. It's about building this consistent inner landscape, one that actually supports true well-being rather than just white-knuckling it with willpower, which, let's be honest, often breaks down under stress.
Yeah, it often does.
And this really underlines Dan's point. Healing emotional hunger needs so much more than just tracking macros or following meal plans.
Right. It requires, what? Empathy.
Empathy for yourself, definitely. A deep sense of self-awareness. And maybe the hardest part, the courage to actually ask the question that's hiding behind the craving.
That's the real work then, the deeper work.
That's the work, yes.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive for today. The big takeaway isn't really about a miracle pill, is it?
No, not the pill itself.
It's more like a miracle pause.
A miracle pause.
Good
I like
shit.
that, yeah.
So if you, the listener, are using semaglutide, or maybe just thinking about it, the invitation here is perhaps to view it less as just a weight loss tool and more as an opportunity, a chance to really focus on the window it creates for self-discovery, not just the number on the scale.
Absolutely. And maybe to leave you with a final thought, something provocative building on Dan Hollis's wisdom.
You okay?
Ask yourself, what are you really hungry for now that food is no longer filling in all the gaps?
What are you really hungry for?
Because remember, his point is, when those intense cravings quiet down, maybe that's when the truth really has a chance to emerge.